Hello, my dear students. Welcome to economics classes for 12th standard. And today we're going to start our IED, that is Indian Economic Development, chapter number 6, that is economic reform since 1991, or you can say new economic policy with your Jerry sir. So let's start the video. Hello, students. We are doing IED, chapter number 6, 12th standard. Chapter name is what? Economic reform since 1991, or we can say new economic policy. So already you have learned that in our previous chapters, like chapter number 2, that is 5 years plans, the policies that we have adopted during 1947 to 1990, okay, 1947 to 1952, then 1952 to 1956, and many more, which are resulted in some serious consequences like high levels of internal trade and external debt burden. High levels of internal and external debt burden, it means borrowing, low capital formation, increasing burden of subsidies on government, low productivity levels, rising prices of essential goods, inflation you can say, etc. Even the foreign exchange reserves which we are needed for doing our foreign trade. So foreign exchange reserves dropped to levels that were not even sufficient for fortnight. Fortnight means for 2 weeks, 14 days. Okay, so all these led the government to introduce what? Economic reforms in 1991. Now the question comes, sir, what is the meaning of this economic reforms? So economic reforms means it is a set of economic policies which is directed to accelerate. See, I have written in red pen, from red pen, because I want to just focus on the meaning. So economic reforms, what is? These are the set of economic policies which are focused on to accelerate the process of economic growth and the development of an economic. Okay, so we can say that economic reforms are equals to what? New economic policy. All those new economic policy which we have formed, which the government have formed to accelerate the economy of the country is called economic reforms. Okay, so basically we have taken three elements under this new economic policy. These are liberalization, L, privatization, P, and globalization, G. Okay, so you can see here liberalization came in place of licensing, which is also a L. Okay, which also stands for L, and it for comes for industries and trade. Privatizations came in place of quotas, you can say Q. Okay, for industrialists. Then comes what? Globalization in place of permits, which you can say P. Okay, for exports and imports. So you can say that in new economic policy we have focused on LPG in place of what? In place of LQP. LQP stands for licensing, quotas and permits. So licensing, quotas and permits are replaced by liberalization, privatization and globalization. So let's learn about them one by one. So first we will talk about liberalization. So the first element under the new economic policy and EP is what? L, that is stands for liberalization. So what is the meaning of liberalization here? Actually, liberalization of the economy means freedom of the producing units from direct or the physical controls imposed by the government. That it means there should be no control of what? Government over the producing units, that they can produce by themselves. That is called liberalization. Okay, now what are the objectives of liberalization? The main objectives of liberalizations, like you can say, to unshackle the Indian industries from needless and irksome controls, or you can say to release the growth promoting entrepreneurial energies, or to get rid of costly delays, to enhance production of a variety of goods, and to upgrade technology and many more. These all were the objectives for liberalization. So now we're going to talk about the liberalization measures. Okay, we can say them economic reforms under liberalization. So first one is coming what? Industrial sector reform. So let's talk about this. So first reform which comes under liberalization is what? Industrial sector reform. It is what? Under this one, first point is what? Abolition of industrial licensing. It means that they have abolished the license for industries except five industries, that is liquor, cigarette, defense, equipments, industrial explosives and dangerous chemicals. Except these five, they have abolished the license for industries. So in July 1991, a new industrial policy was announced. It abolished the requirement of licensing, okay, which helps these sectors to produce by themselves or to open the industries, and they have motivated a lot. Then comes what? Contraction of public sector. As you know very well that starting after independence, our government has paid focus on what? On public sector. So now after that, these many years, they have seen that what they have expect that actually not happened. So they have started the contraction of public sector. Like you can see that earlier 17 industries were given under the public sector. Now they were reduced to 8. From 17, it only they have reduced to 8 only. Now 8 industries are there which are under public sector, and afterwards those 8 industries also reduced to 3 industries under the public sector. So from 17, earlier it was 17 industries which are under public sector, and now only 3. So it shows that what, the lack of confidence on the public sector. Then comes what, de-reservation of production areas. Now what is the meaning of de-reservation of production areas? You know very well that government has paid a full attention on the SSI, small sector industries. Okay, so under that process they have reserved some areas for SSI. So when they have seen that they didn't get that much, you can say that didn't get that much result what they have expected. So under the process of liberalization, they have started de-reservation. It means they have they have leave those areas on the forces of market. So they have allowed to determine the allocation of resources. So these are what, de-reservation of production areas. Then comes what, expansion of production capacity. Now earlier production capacity was linked with licensing. Okay, but now freedom from licensing implied freedom from the capacity constraints. What to produce, how to produce, how much to produce, these all questions are under the choice of producers. This helps under for the expansion of production capacity. So these points are comes under industrial sector. Okay, so under liberalization, the second point is what, financial sector reforms. So you know very well that in India the RBI is doing the work of regulating the other banks. Now under this, under liberalization, there is a shift in the role of the RBI. From regulator, it became what, facilitator. Now what it means? Actually, you know very well that in India that RBI is the Reserve Bank of India, Central Bank of India. So it control all the other regulatories, other banks areas. Okay, so liberalization implied a substantial shift. Okay, from regulator to a facilitator. Now as a regulator, RBI would itself fix interest rate structure for the commercial banks. But as a facilitator, the RBI would only facilitate the free play of the market forces and leave it to the commercial banks to decide their interest rate structure and many more things. Okay, so these things comes under the shift in the role of RBI. Then comes what, even that SLR, that reduction in the SLR also taken place in this case. Then comes what, establishment of private sector banks, Indian as well as foreign. You know that many private banks today are working in the banking sector, and they have changed the form of banking. Now the banking system having what, upgradation, their technology, many things which we can't able to use earlier, now we can do it very fast by sitting at our home only. So these things possible due to the private sectors. Okay, then comes what, foreign institutional investors. It means FIIs, such as merchant bankers, mutual funds, and many more like that, pension funds, to be allowed to invest in Indian financial markets. So these are the things which comes under financial sector reforms. Okay, under the liberalization. Then next coming is what, trade and investment policy reforms. Now what is the trade? As the name is there, trade, so it means it's related to the trade only. There is the abolition of import licensing system. Earlier we need what, license for the importing things. Now this import license have abolished, so it helps to producers to import raw materials on a large quantity. Okay, so that they can produce more and more. Then there was a what, removal of quantitative restrictions on imports. As you have seen that abolition of import licensing is already abolished, so therefore the restrictions on over the imports, that were also removed. Then strengthening the export promotion. Earlier you know that India was focusing on what, import substitution. Now they are focusing on export because they understand the importance of export. So strengthening the export promotion structure, what they have done, they have removed the what, export duties. Then what, withdrawal of restrictions on the foreign investment. Now there is no restrictions on the foreign investment, so people are doing what, foreign investment also. The foreigners are coming and investing in our countries. But yes, there are some limited restrictions are there, but not as much as more as it was earlier. Then come at last what, tax reforms. Reduction in the rates of income tax and corporate tax helps the producers to earn more profit. Then comes reforms in indirect taxes like GST. like indirect taxes like GST. GST helps the people producers to put, or you can say transfer their tax on the public. So like example, if I'm going to give to you, so a shopkeeper who is paying GST, goods and services tax, to the government can shift the burden of this tax onto the final buyers. How? By adding the tax amount to the basic price of the goods sold. Like suppose this is a good, this is a marker whose price is what, 50 rupees. How much? 50 rupees. But as the producer is shifting his tax over the final consumer, so now what he's doing, on this 50 rupees cost, he is adding 10 rupees tax also, and then he's finally selling it to the final consumer at 60 rupees. So what he has done, he has transferred his indirect tax on the final consumer. Okay, so he get the you can say benefit in this one. So reforms in indirect taxes like GST. Then simplification of tax structure, which is very important. This was taken place so that there will be what, simple tax structure, so that the people can, especially those who are traders, they can enjoy the liberalization. This is all we can learn under the liberalization. Now next element under NEP, that is what, privatization. So before privatization, I want to tell you that after the independence, we can say that the government has paid attention on public sector. They have given more importance and more powers to public sector. Even the more industries, number of industries has given to these one public sectors only. Okay, that time the private sectors were not given that much importance as they should get. Okay, so privatization may be defined as a transfer of ownership. Now as they have realized that the public sectors are not able to give that result which they are expected, so privatization, they have focused on privatization. So what is privatization? Privatization may be defined as a transfer of ownership. What? Transfer of ownership and control from the public sector to private sector. From public sector to private sector. So what is the need for privatization? As we told you, that is the main reason is what? Poor performance of PSU. Actually, the process of industrialization was started, or you can say began, during the second 5 years plan. Okay, so under that, the key role was assigned to PSUs. Okay, they have make their faith on public sector undertakings. But what happened? They have not performed according to their expectations. So most public sector enterprises turned into a social dead weight. Now what is the meaning of social dead weight here? Social dead weight means social liability. They become social liability. Okay, and mounting losses of PSU became unsustainable, not stoppable. So it causes to given more importance to privatizations, and even leakages, pilferage, inefficiency, corruption had become so rampant in PSUs that their privatization was become considered as the only remedy, only the solution. Okay, so that's why these factors, you can say, leads for the need of privatization. Now what are the obvious gains of privatization? So we can say that yes, the entrepreneurs work with 100% commitment, and efficiency becomes the condition of survival for the workers. And now why they are working with 100% commitment? Because in the privatization, we know that the more importance is given to what? Self-interest rather than the social interest. So they are working for themselves only. That's why the 100% commitment was there. And it becomes what? More efficiency becomes the condition for the survival of the workers. If you work with this efficiency, then you can survive in the company. Otherwise, you will be get out of the company. Okay, so it helps to make the working with more perfection. Then competition induces upgradation and modernization. As you know, privatization expects private enterprises to work in competitive environments. So that's why it leads to upgradation and modernization. It generates high profits also and promotes consumer sovereignty. Consumer sovereignty means that they are giving more power to consumers. They are making things according to the consumer choice. They are providing more variety to the consumers. Okay, so these are the obvious gains of privatization. Now, as everything has some positive effect and negative effects, so let's talk about some negative effect, that is the imperative losses of privatization. First one is what? Socialistic pattern of society. It means social causes, social justice is left to survive only as theoretical possibility. It means social justice is ignored. More attention was given to the a particular section of society, that is this section of society. Okay, because under privatization they will think only for their profit. So weaker section of society suffer deprivation. Okay, these are the points which comes under the privatization. So next topic is what? Globalization. Globalization means integrating. It means taking together the economy of a country with the economies of other countries. Okay, under the conditions of free flow of trade and capital across borders. It means what? There will be trade not only within a country, but outside the countries also with other countries. That is called globalizations. Okay, so under globalization we will going to learn about main terms which are coming in the questions like outsourcing. What is outsourcing? Outsourcing implies hiring business services on contract from the outside world. Like other countries are going to hire some employees from other different countries. They're coming to other different countries, and then they are searching some talent from these countries, and then they are employing. Okay, so these services include, you can say, include like call centers, clinical advice, banking services, record keeping, teaching, etc. These all are comes under outsourcing. So for these services, peoples which are come from outside the countries, they are searching, they are taking peoples from India. Okay, and even they are opening their call centers here also in India. Okay, why? What is the main reasons? Why they can't take the employees from their own country only? The main services which are being outsourced from the India to developed countries are voice-based business. Why? These are the main services, voice-based business like BPO or call centers. Because here in India, the foreign countries are getting availability of what? Cheap labor. They have to give not too much high salary, but in low salary also they can employ the peoples. Even the revolutionary growth of IT industries in India have played a crucial role for the outsourcing. So I hope it is clear to you what is outsourcing. Now next term is coming WTO. WTO stands for World Trade Organization, which was established on 1st January 1995. The headquarters of WTO, that is World Trade Organization, is at Geneva, which is at Switzerland. Right now there are 164 countries who are members of WTO. What is WTO? It is an international organization that is concerned with the regulation of international trade between nations. What are its functions? It is acting as a forum for multilateral trade negotiations to facilitate bilateral and multilateral trade agreements. Okay, so these are what? Globalization. I hope it is clear to you. Now we reach to our last topic, that is impact of LPG, or you can say new economic policy, or you can say economic reform since 1991, or you can see this topic as an appraisal of LPG policies. So you know very well that our economy during that after independence, just after at the eve of independence, it was stagnant economy. It was called as a stagnant economy, which was stop economy, or you can say worst condition of our economy that time. But after 1991, when we have received that economic reforms, or you can say LPG or NEP, so our economy becomes vibrant economy, because there was a what overall level of economy has trended up as indicated by the GDP growth. Post LPG policies, like you can say, through which we have received a shot up to as high as 8% per annum increase in our GDP growth, which was a significant sign for the growth in our economy. Then comes what? Stimulant to industrial production. As you know that these industrialization, or you can say that LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization, have paid focus on the industries. That's why there was what? Encouragement for the industrial production. Then comes a check of fiscal deficit. Earlier our fiscal deficit was 8.5%, which is decreased to 3.5%. It was a great achievement for Indian economy. Then consumer sovereignty. As already I told you, sovereignty means powers. That most supreme power is given to consumer. That consumers now getting what? Wide variety of products, so that they can choose by themselves. They are the one who are become the choosers now. Okay, selectors. So they are getting what? They getting the wide variety of choice, and through that they can prefer the product which they want to use. Now they are getting Indian products also. They are getting what? Products from outside the countries also. So it helps them to give the more variety and good quality products. Then comes what? A substantial increase in foreign exchange reserves. The exchange reserves, for which we are even not able to sustain for 14 days, that fortnight, now there is a substantial increase in them. Then a shift from monopoly market. Earlier it was only public sector. Now it is given to what? Competitive market. It becomes now competitive market due to privatization. Then comes what? Demerits. What are the demerits of this LPG or NEP? So first one we can say neglect of agriculture. The sector where our more than 50% population was engaged, that sector was totally ignored. The overall growth rate in agriculture sector has declined in the reform period. In this LPG period, 1992 it was 29%, but in 2014-15 it reduced to only 17.4%, which shows the what? Decline in their agriculture growth. Then comes about urban concentration of growth process. Actually, during this LPG, liberation, privatization, globalization, those who are setting their industry, they are setting their industries only in urban areas. MNCs like multinational companies, they are focusing only on urban areas. So they have ignored the rural areas, which increase the gulf between rural and urban areas. Then comes what? Economical colonialism. So MNCs are exploiting the Indian market. So how? Because the Indian products are not as much as that comfortable, or you can sustainable in compared to foreign products, because those foreign products are made from machines and they are having what? Variety also, but Indian products are not able to stand against them. So in this way they are exploiting the Indian markets. Then comes what? Spread of consumerism. As I told you, that more supreme power is given to consumers. Okay, so Indian society is adapting itself to the Western culture. Now they are getting more variety of goods. So they are, instead of that Indian products, they are moving towards the foreign products also. So it helps them to, or you can say it encourages them to adopt Western culture by spending more money. And how they getting more money? By borrowing. And if they are borrowing, then it will be not good for the country. Then comes what? Lopsided growth process. Now why it is lopsided growth process? Because it does not include all sectors. Okay, just they are focusing on the industrial sector. Other sectors like agriculture sector they have ignored. Then comes what? Cultural erosion. Why cultural erosion? As we have learned under this spread of consumerism, that they are paying for, that our countrymen are focusing on Western culture and they are forgetting our Indian culture. Even today also, you know that our Indian culture is based on many rituals, but they forgot everything. Even that how they are wearing, how they are thinking, these all things are changes due to this Western culture, which is comes across through come through the process of globalization. So these are the impact of LPG, or you can say new education policy, or you can say economic reforms since 1991. So here we have completed our chapter. I hope it is clear to you. Thank you, students.
At last, I just want to say, as the danger of corona is increasing, be at home, be safe, and take care.